So the last topic that we have was Unit 6, and today we are going to look at Unit 7. So if you have your study guide, or if you have a copy of that material, please just turn around and turn those, if you have that, turn to the appropriate pages here, or open the appropriate documents on your phone. Okay, page 22. So, Women, Politics, Civil Society and Development is the title of this unit discussion here. To begin with, women play an important role in the development of our country. All right? That's why in our country, there needs to be equality in terms of women's participation also in politics, in civil society and development. So this chapter tries to look at women's involvement in those areas. Women's involvement in politics, women's involvement in civil society, and women's involvement in development. So when you are trying to understand the unit, we always start by looking at the objectives first. So if you look at the objectives here, probably objective 1, we shall do away with it. I don't think it sort of captures the essence of the discussion, but you look at objectives 2 and 3, these are important because objective 2 talks about you have to, by the end of this unit, able to discuss the important link, highlight this word here, link between women, politics and development. What is the discussion between women's involvement in politics and development? And then after you look at, or the next objective is to analyze the important link between women, civil society and development. So you look at, first we look at women's involvement in politics and development, and second we look at analyze the link between civil society and development. So in here we are not going to read all the paragraphs down starting from the introduction. What we are going to do is try to pinpoint and understand firstly the link of discussion between politics, women, politics and development. So let's try and look at firstly try and look at women in politics. If we go to that particular sub-heading there, I'll read the first sentence and I'll try and make sense of the first sentence here. So, recognition of women in the national constitution, national goals, and in the 8 aims has given impetus to women's organization to play a greater role in civil society, politics, and in other areas here. So, what this sentence means is that our national constitution, the 8 aims, directive principles, all right, the state. So our constitution and the aims of our constitution have highlighted the important role of women in politics and also in development. And one of the biggest concerns is that we have been, and probably you have heard of it, is lack of women participation in parliament. So when there is lack of women participation in parliament, what the argument is trying to discuss or trying to show is that if the constitution calls for equal participation, men and women, in politics and development, and if women are not participating well enough in those spaces, then it contradicts the constitution. So that's why our governments and successive governments have advocated for women representation. So women are important in as far as our country's politics and development is concerned. Now, in politics, we know the political arena is not always equal. There is no equal level playing field. You can see the male-dominated, the political arena tends to be dominated by more male or men than women. And this has called for more women's role in participation in parliament. All right? So if you look at the last sentence here, it is therefore important that women's role and participation in civil society and politics reflect the legitimacy that is accorded them in the Constitution, goals, and aims. So again, here I think I've already repeated that one, but for the sake of this discussion here, so if women are not participating well in civil society or politics, this sort of undermines the legitimacy of our Constitution. If our Constitution calls for equality and participation, and if our women are not participating equally, then that goes against the Constitution. So it questions what we've talked about, and here the notion of legitimacy. So it is important for women to participate in politics. So that's the whole theme of that section here. So let's go down and look at women in civil society. Again here, and I'll read the first sentence out and try to elaborate further on the discussion. It has generally been said that women are marginalized in mainstream PNG society. All right, second sentence. This is true when looking at enrollment ratio between male and female in schools and tertiary institutions, female participation in public service, in senior managerial position, and in politics. All right, so the second sentence here. So this book was written 10 years ago. It is not quite true in current climate today, contemporary. So we are living in the present time here. Now, to say that women enrollment ratio between male and female in schools and in tertiary institutions has been a concern. If you look at humanities and social science, the current data of 2024 and 2025 have showed or have clearly demonstrated that there is more female students than male in terms of their ratio. All right, so this statement here is wrong. Women have now surpasses the enrollment ratio for the school, surpasses the enrollment ratio in terms of male and female ratio is concerned, and there are more female participation in female registered students in the School of Humanities and Social Science. In the managerial space, there are more women occupying middle management and top management. You look at the governor of the bank, we have a female sitting on or as our governor. So that will tell you how far Papua New Guinea has come. So not in politics, but in other areas, women have played an important and active part of the development of our country through their participation in tertiary education and also in the middle and top management in both public and private sectors. All right, so let's look at women in development. Now women, and I'll read the first sentence. Women contribute significantly to national development, yet they are not the main beneficiaries. Well, that first sentence can be debated. Some women tend to be the main beneficiaries if you look at case by case. I'll read the sentence, second sentence. This is true in both public and private sectors and in distribution of national income. Again here, this book has been written some 10 years ago, so we do not know the current figures at the moment. There are more men in wage employment and thus access to wage income in the public and private sectors than women. Again here, that can be contested. So when this book was written, it was talking about that particular point in time where women, there were male-dominated and especially when it comes to wages or income earning from public and private sector. Now we have lots of women working in both public and private sectors. So what this paragraph is talking about is basically to paint a picture. At one point in our country, women were struggling to compete with men in the space of income earning in both public and private sectors, but not so much when you see in today's climate. So today we have lots of women who are contributing meaningfully towards the development of this country in both public and private sectors. All right, and then you have the summary. All right, so let me go back to the objective here, and let me see if we, okay, so discuss the objective to discuss the important link between women, politics, and development. All right, so in this we know that our constitution calls for equality. And when our women are not participating in politics, then this defeats the idea of what our constitution talks about. And then it sort of undermines the concept or notion of legitimacy. So if women there is equal level of participation in parliament, then women are also participating in helping in developing our country. All right? So that has been the struggle for Papua New Guinea, to getting more women in parliament. And the second objective talks about women outside of politics, and that is civil society. So in the third objective here, women have contributed well enough at the current state. But when this book was written, women face significant challenges that they, in terms of earning an income, their wages, and their participation. So now we have women in university, especially School of Humanities and Social Science. There is a lot of women registered female students, outnumber the male registered students. Even the open campus here, if this seat, the seat is going to be packed full tomorrow for the test, and if you are here, then you just think of this discussion here about women, and ever look around, you will see a lot of women, your women folk, who are going to be seated here to do their test. So women have been are playing an equal role in terms of their participation at the tertiary institutions. If you look at both public and private sectors, we have now more women in public and private sector space, occupying middle and top management. So when talking about women, civil society and development, Papua New Guinea has done fairly well to be able to say, yes, Papua New Guinea has benefited, or Papua New Guinea has strived to a point where there is women participation in both civil society and development, but not so much in politics. So that is the area where we should improve on. All right. By the way, so this concludes the lecture on Unit 76.